Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you're calling in from. My name is Nicole Bush. I run Alumni and Career and Professional Development over here at Tulane University within the Office of Alumni Relations, and I'm happy to welcome you here. Happy you've joined us. We are going to go ahead and get started as we still have people coming in. But today we're very happy to welcome Hallie Crawford to Professional Development Series. She has presented for us before and always has great tips and tools to share with everyone. We will be recording the session. It is being recorded right now. So you should receive a copy afterwards, and it will be posted on our website as well, on our YouTube website. And questions can be asked throughout in the chat box for now, before as we're launching. If you don't mind just letting us know right in the chat where you're joining from, so we can know where we've got know how much ground we're covering because we know our alums are spread out so much. So thanks again for joining us, and I'm going to hand it right over to Hallie. Thanks, Hallie.
Thanks, Nicole. Greatly appreciate it. And thanks everyone who is here today live, but also listening in as well. I'm calling in from Atlanta, Georgia, and I know there's so much weather-wise going on for people all across the country. We have clients in LA who have been displaced, as well as clients in the South who are dealing with snow and all of that. So please stay safe and warm, depending on where you are. And we thank you for your time today because this is a really important topic that a lot of our clients will tell us that they struggle with. Like, if I want to make a shift or a change, how do I know how to sell myself in the right way if I haven't been doing exactly what they are asking for the past X number of years? How do I let them know that I can do this new job or shift into this new career path? So we're talking today about 10 transferable skills that will help you change careers. And just by way of very quick introduction, as a reminder, this is being recorded and you'll get a copy of that. I'm a certified career coach, speaker, and author. I've been coaching and training since 2002. So, kind of my running joke is all of my gray hair is underneath here, luckily for me, versus as much on top. I have an undergraduate degree from Vanderbilt University and a master's degree from the U of I. And I love what I do. I'm excited to be here with you all today. Really appreciate your time. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you, because we like to give as much information as we possibly can in order to help you understand how to best change careers, is we recommend, kind of as a starting point here as we launch for today, that you choose one action step that you will take in the next week based on your situation and where you're at with your transferable skills and what resonates the most for you or makes the most sense in terms of kind of what you latch on to in terms of your personality type. Because you will get the recording, like we said, and you can revisit those later. And I'm also putting in the chat box right now the place where you can download our slides if you would like to get those as well, so that you don't feel like you have to frantically write everything down. So we're happy to share those with you too. So pick one thing, and we would love to hear from you all at the end what your action step is. And as we're talking today, too, and I'll show you our agenda in just a moment, but please feel free as we progress today to share any questions that you have. And I'm happy to pause along the way and answer those. We will have time for Q&A at the end as well. But if you also have resources that you've used that you're willing to share that could help other people, that would be fantastic as well. I love it when we can do that. So let's go ahead and dive in. So, career change, understandably for people, it should be on one of those top 10 lists of most stressful things in our lives, right? In addition to public speaking and moving. It can be really overwhelming for people because our jobs can be a part of our identity, but they pay our bills. It's an important piece of our lives. And a lot of our clients will tell us some of these things that are listed on this next slide here. They don't know where to start. So a lot of people will put this off for years and they'll say, I've been thinking about making a shift for like 5 years or whatever it is. Some people tell us, understandably, it's just scary. So they don't know how to tackle it. It's overwhelming and they tend to procrastinate. And for obvious reasons why we're here today, people are unsure how to represent themselves effectively for another industry or another role maybe within their industry. So there's a lot of different things that go on for people. So bottom line, please know that you're not alone. The next thing that we know is that resumes and LinkedIn profiles are scanned very quickly. Recruiters and employers get a lot of applications for the jobs that they post. So they only look at your materials very briefly to decide whether they want to continue to read and or bring you in for an interview. And this is part of why you have to present yourself really effectively, very quickly in order to be successful here. Now, those are kind of the tough things. The good news on the flip side of the coin is that you can make a change. We have been coaching since 2002, and that is our primary focus with our clients. So we've been in business for a long time for a reason, because it is possible to make this happen. A couple of things that I'll share with you on this next slide is that you do need to have the right perspective about it. Sometimes we'll joke with people that we don't have a magic wand, that it does take time and it takes persistence. You have to be realistic about the choices that you're making and what you can reasonably shift into versus what is just going to be really hard to do. And you also need to have the right perspective, if you will, of that no job is ever going to be absolutely perfect every single second of the day. So you can make a change. You need to be patient with the process. And what we find is that when you are looking to make a shift, you need to be that much more kind of assertive about reaching out to people, talking with more people, and selling yourself effectively versus, oh, I'm a shoo-in for this job, this next career path or job because I've been doing this for 20 years. It's a different scenario. So, some of the things that we would recommend you think about when you're brainstorming ideas, because we're actually going to talk in a few minutes about defining your direction, and our specific agenda is on the next slide too, just so you know, is when you're thinking about your next career path or job direction that you want to take, it can be a really good idea as you're brainstorming options to think about, okay, what's going to make me happy? And is it going to be something that's industry or role adjacent, something related or very similar to what I'm doing now? We also suggest to our clients when they're looking to make a shift and brainstorming ideas, would it make sense for you to work with or for a vendor to your industry? Because that's another way that you can make a shift and it's a little bit less dramatic. Or do you want to make a change within your organization or within your industry itself? So lots of different things that we can consider here. So let's take a look at our agenda for today. We're going to go through 10 transferable skills and show you the skills that you need to be thinking about and considering putting on your resume and LinkedIn as they are relevant and are appropriate to you and your situation. And we'll talk about what each of them means too. We're going to talk a little bit too about resume formatting and how you sell yourself with these transferable skills. And we'll also talk about branding. And as I said earlier, you can get the slides using the QR code here, or it's in the chat box as well. And also, please put questions along the way as we progress here. And I would like to conduct a few polls today. And I forgot to talk about this, Nicole, at the beginning. I apologize for that. And what we can do is we can always just do them kind of ad hoc here. So let's do that because I think it might be easier, because if I run polls, sometimes I mess things up. So here's what we want to ask first from our audience, please. What do you struggle with the most? Is it identifying my transferable skills, just knowing what they are in the first place? Is it I struggle with selling myself, knowing what those are already, but I don't know how to brand or sell myself? Or is it a little bit of both? So if you could put in the chat box for us, that would be fantastic. Put either A, B, or C, because I'm curious where people today fall. And please know that if it's both, that's normal, that's okay. We sometimes find that some people just have a hard time, like they feel like they know what they are already, but like, how do I lay that out on my resume, for example? And it looks like what we've got, thank you for sharing this, ladies. We've got one person saying both, which makes perfect sense. and another person saying number two or B, selling myself. Okay, perfect. Thanks, Nicole. And then selling to others effectively. So we're going to touch on all of these things, but if we don't touch on either or any of these as deeply as we could for your situation, please put in the chat box what your thoughts, questions, or comments are as we go. So, the first thing we really want you to do is get clear about the direction that you're wanting to head, because it's important to know where you're going in order to then identify what the transferable skills are that would be relevant for that direction. And one of the tools that you can use, and remember, you can download the slides, you can print this out if you want, is our career model that helps show you all of the pieces or components to the ideal career. So, what we have our clients do is use this as a checklist to say, okay, is this new career path or job I'm considering going to be fulfilling? Will it leverage my experience in the way I want it to? Will it leverage my strengths? Will it be the right work environment, compensation, all this other good stuff? Okay. So, in order to brainstorm alternative ideas, see what else is out there, but also narrow them down to make sure you're choosing the right one, you can use our model as a checklist. Okay. The second thing, and let me actually go to this next slide while we're talking about this, is you can also leverage AI and ChatGPT or whichever one you use in order to brainstorm alternative ideas. So you could say careers related to X that can give you some alternative options. Okay. And in some cases, you can use AI as well to identify and understand, okay, what are some of the top transferable skills if currently I'm an event planner? Just making up an example. Okay. So AI can help with this. Remember that AI in your search across the board is a tool to be leveraged to help support you. It's not the sole tool or thing that you want to rely on. So, for example, don't use AI to draft up your whole resume and just send it off to someone. I spoke with one of our clients the other day, and she literally said, she's like, yeah, it's the running joke between me and my friends who are all in a position of hiring people that we can tell when someone's just used AI for their resume and they don't like it. It's obvious. So be careful using it. Okay. And if you look at this next slide, when you're identifying your transferable skills, I want to suggest, please, that you look at these elements of the model specifically. And the reason why I bring this up is I think if we look at the first one, most people think of, yeah, transferable skills is some of my strengths. Okay, yeah, got it. But we also can pull transferable skills from our past education, whether it's at Tulane or a certification you got afterwards. So think about courses that you've taken because those could be relevant too. You also want to think about past experience. That's number three on the slide. Because when we tell our clients to do this, 9 times out of 10, they're like, oh, yeah, there was this one project I worked on that could be more relevant to this job I'm looking at. Or they'll come up with things that they hadn't thought of or had forgotten about. And then finally, the last one on the list here on the slide is your personality traits can also qualify, so to speak, as skills. Like if you, for example, are a really good listener, like that is something that could be incredibly valuable to a prospective employer if you're looking at, let's say, a customer service or client-facing type of role. So don't discount those personality traits that people tell you about those soft skills because those also can be considered transferable too. And that's why we outline all of these because people usually default just to strengths and we want you to remember the other ones. Another place or way that you can start to identify what your transferable soft skills might be is using this leadership wheel. This is from Development Dimensions International. It's a highly regarded management consulting firm. And these are the 10 skills that they are or assert or believe that are the most important leadership skills. Now, when you look at this wheel and test yourself on this and rate yourself in each area, keep in mind that some of these may not be relevant for the jobs you're looking at. So, for example, just making up an example here, if you're looking at an organization that doesn't have a lot of like age differences within their organization, like let's say it's a startup and most of the people are younger, you don't need to worry about that one quite as much for your situation. But I would invite you, regardless, to rate yourself in all of the areas, identify what your top three leadership strengths are. You can ask other people to rate you on this too. And we love it when clients do that because sometimes we forget about something or we don't realize that we're good at something that we are actually great at. And then pick and choose the ones that would make the most sense for the jobs that you're going for. Okay. The next thing that you can do to help you clarify what your strengths are is to keep a running tab and like an accomplishments document of the things that you do well in your current position or have done well in your previous positions. And just keep it open on your computer or have it like in a journal on your desk, whatever it is. As you start to think about like accomplishments and I shouldn't say here in your, let's think about instead of your new role, think about your existing role. Think about your accomplishments. Specifically, where have you gotten testimonials or kudos from people? Because that can help us point to skills and experience that we may not be fully aware how good we are at those. And when you look at that accomplishments document, and maybe you just journal about this for the next 5 days, and as things come to you, put them down. But what do these tell you? Review those at the end of the 5 days and identify what these tell you about your transferable skills. And this testimonials and kudos piece is a really important piece of it, looking at past performance reviews, etc. And the final thing that you can start to do, and then in our next slide, we're going to move into our 10 transferable skills, those specific ones that we'll list out for you, is you can interview other people about where you excel. What adjectives come to mind when they think of you? What skills do they see you might be able to use elsewhere? And we like for our clients to do this because it can be like, especially if you get a blend of friends, current or former coworkers, classmates, etc., you can get varying opinions based on the role they play in your life. And it's important or can be especially helpful to talk with people that you've worked with or worked on a project with, right? But find out from them what they see. And the reason why we like this is because as humans, we tend to discount what comes naturally to us. And we assume that something is just something that everyone's good at, right? And, it's not just me. So this interviewing other people, in addition to using the leadership wheel, like, and asking them to rate you there, can give us some really good feedback that can help boost our confidence as well. And they might be able to give you some ideas about what some of your transferable skills might be. And as a quick reminder for those of you who have just joined us, you can download a copy of our slides. There's a link in the chat box for you. All right, so let's take a look here at our 10 transferable skills specifically. So, what I want to say about these is we're going to go through each one and I'll kind of explain what they mean. And what I want you to remember, please, is some of these may be relevant for what your actual strengths are, and some of them may not be. So, we're not asking you to like make stuff up and lie on your resume or anything like that, of course. But think about these in terms of relevance for you, but also relevance for the jobs that you're going for. Because I want you to imagine, and this is my silly analogy, but it seems like it works, is that the resume or the recruiter or employer in the scanning system that's scanning your resume is a dog on a scent. And if the dog is looking for chicken and you throw beef in there, they're going to go looking somewhere else. So you only want to put those strengths in here that make sense for the roles that you're looking at too. Don't think of this as, oh, well, isn't it cool if I let them know how good I am at all these different things? No, you can tell them that in the resume. That's not going to help you get your foot in the door. Okay. So, first one is management. Now, management is very general, right? So, we don't want you to just say management all over your resume. We want you to get clear and specific about what type of management. Is it managing other people? Or if it's like, no, 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 it's managing projects or programs. What type of management is it? Is it in operations or finance or marketing in a different part of an organization? So get really clear and specific about what management means if this is one of your skills and strengths, and use these specific words to help narrow down and let people know what kind of management it is and what is it that you're managing. Where could you use these management skills in another industry? And on your resume, with your accomplishments and your results-oriented bullet points, what do you need to talk about or show and demonstrate that you know, and what results have you demonstrated in the past based on leveraging these strengths and skills? So you want to have your star stories be aligned with these, but also have your results-oriented bullet points be aligned with these as well in your resume. A second one, which is really obvious because we all need to be tech savvy these days, is what kind of technical expertise or skills do you have? What type of software do you know how to use and leverage? Are you good with apps and social media if that's going to be relevant for the job? If it is good with managing technical data, good at dealing with engineering data or technical work there. So again, we're not just looking for you to say technical expertise. We want you to be specific about what that expertise is and how it could be relevant for the next job. Now, you'll notice these days that some job descriptions may mention AI in there, some may not. My suggestion would be is to practice using AI, maybe even take a class that demonstrates or helps you understand how to leverage it for the career path that you want to get into, because it's impacting different industries in different ways. But you can take a course on like LinkedIn Learning, Coursera.org. There's lots of free classes that you can take, but even if the job description isn't heavy on its technical skill, like requirements, if you will, you want to make sure that you're talking about those types of things at the very least in an interview, so you can demonstrate that you've got, these technical abilities and can leverage AI at least to a certain extent, because most employers are starting to expect that. Another transferable skill is communication. And again, like we said, this is broad and vague, so we want you to get specific. What type of communication are you good at? And you don't have to just be saying one thing in each of these areas, by the way. So if, for example, you're great with marketing and PR, but you're also really good with managing conflict or change within an organization, you can put both of those. These don't have to be just one item underneath each of these elements. It's okay to have several elements, but you want to get specific again about what's relevant and important to the job that you're going for. And by the way, your communication strength may not even be listed here. These are some examples of what you might be saying. The next one is critical thinking. And part of what I want you to remember here too, and I would argue that this is relevant for a lot of these transferable skills, is that when employers and recruiters are interviewed about what makes them choose a specific candidate, like what are they considering when they're looking to hire someone? Obviously, they're always looking for those tangible, practical skills and strengths and, X number of years experience, etc. But the soft skills and these intangible things, like communication, like being able to think critically, these are things they can't teach you. And so between you and other people on their roster of people that they're looking at, even if you have less experience, they're going to go with you because you've got these intangibles that they don't want to take the time to train you on. And in some cases, it would be hard to do so. So remember that these soft skills are the tipping point that can help push you over the edge in order to get that interview. Okay. And let me know if that makes sense or if it doesn't make sense and you've got questions there. Okay. The next one is critical thinking. And again, we want to be specific here too. And this is something that an employer can't really teach you how to do, right? And they're not going to want to do it. So if you've got this, whether it's problem solving, whether it's strategic planning, or if it's critical thinking, again, within a certain like area of an organization. So for example, if it's critical thinking related to financials or human resources, those types of things, and problem solving there, or helping create processes or evaluate processes to help them be more efficient, you need to speak to that. Spit it out as much as you can. My kind of silly joke with clients is I'm like, puke it out on the paper, like put more on there than less. Then we can always make adjustments to it. But we want people to get it down on paper first, and that can help you have something to start from. Another critical transferable skill is the ability to multitask. Get more specific with this, whether it's working under pressure or deadlines, managing multiple people or projects. Are you more of a people person or a working with things person? Is it that you're really good at being detailed, but also big picture? Or, for example, you're really good at the details and that's it. Technical expertise, but also being able to, for example, communicate with non-technical team members. So lots of different ways you can think about multitasking here too. And remember, like we said, you can leverage AI a little bit to get ideas here as well. Two more transferable skills, and I know there's a lot here, so just bear with me, is teamwork and creativity. So everyone wants to hire someone who is going to be able to work within their department, within their organization, and within their team effectively. Hands down, right? This is why people choose people that they tend to see they either like, they connect with well, or they can see them fitting in well with their department and the culture of the organization, right? You need to be painting the picture of how you would fit in, kind of like a popularity contest, but not exactly. Just think about it as you're painting that picture. The teamwork, is it leading teams or is it better at, I'm really good at being like working within the team and keeping things going, being the motivator, team communication, helping people be efficient or whatever it is. If you're searching for, looking for a hybrid or remote job, you need to make sure that you have demonstrated there or said in your resume that you're able to do that. And the next one is creativity. Again, creative thinking, or it could be literally that you're a creative person with graphic design or creative problem solving. So this can be, again, a lot of different possibilities here. But this idea of being able to problem solve and creatively problem solve, be innovative as part of this as well, can be really useful. And then finally, our last three with specific transferable skills are leadership, research, and analytical. And I'll say one other thing just before we go into these, just really quickly. You may find that there's one or two transferable skills that aren't on this list that are important for the job that you're looking at. And that's fine. These are the most common ones that we're talking about to help you get some ideas. But if there's something different that you need to add on your resume, totally fine, no problem. These help you get the ball rolling. We talked about leadership already. What kind of leadership? Is it operations leadership, finance, HR, et cetera? And what are the leadership qualities that are going to be relevant to that position? So, for example, some people will say, I'm a servant leader. And if that fits within like the values of the organization that you're applying to, or they're talking about those types of things and what their values are, you want to relate to that and talk about that in your resume and in your interview. Research is another really big one. What type of research? Elaborate on that. And even more importantly, with the research, and I would honestly argue that this is relevant for all of the transferable skills, but what are you able to do with the research that you have performed or do perform? Are you able to report on it? And as a result, your boss or your department is able to make better decisions based on that analysis and therefore serve clients better, save money, whatever it is. Get really specific about what the results can be or have been about these transferable skills for you too. And then finally, analytical skills. What are the results? What's the purpose? How can you leverage your analytical skills similar to what we've said already in what department or area and for what purpose and to what end? Okay. So these are our 10 skills that we want you to at least start with. excuse me, to think about that could be transferable for you and for the positions that you're considering. Let's talk next about your resume for a few minutes because one of the things that a lot of people struggle with, which we were talking about at the beginning, is okay, how do I sell these? Now, we talked a little, or sell myself using these. We've talked about this a little bit. Like, hopefully, so far, I've given you some kind of keywords to be using that can help you sell yourself. Like, getting more specific gives you that language that you want to be using. When we're thinking about our resume and how to lay this out, we'll give you some examples in the next couple of slides here. So with your resume and your LinkedIn, technically too, there's three criteria that we're always looking at with our clients. You want to make sure it sells you. We all know that, obvious. We want to make sure that you feel confident about it and it makes you feel more confident as a candidate once you've gotten into shape. The third thing, which is in the middle, is the thing that our clients tend to not do as well at or forget to do because they're like, okay, just wrote all this and whatever, and I'm exhausted, and they want to just move on, which I get it. It's really important that your resume brands you, and I'll show you what we mean by this in the next couple of slides. When we're thinking about the formatting of our resume, we want with the human eye, someone to pop open your resume, and when they do, they know exactly who you are, what job title you've had in the past, and or what you're going for now, and I'll show you what I mean in a moment, and also like kind of what your brand is, what you're known for. And this is important to do in terms of formatting in your summary with your skills and your experience. So let me just pull this up for this next one for a second. And here's the deal with resumes. And you're not expected to be able to read the content here. This is more about the formatting. You may have noticed that resumes look fancier these days. Okay. We encourage the use of like one color and maybe some gray shading. We encourage the use of blocking things out with color so that it's easier to read and you're able to highlight what you want to. Okay. And we're going to go into more depth with these. But if you're looking at these here, you'll notice there's a nice header here. This person has used these blue lines, and there's more blue lines at the bottom to break out her sections of her resume. And in this, which may be a little hard to see, but there's some gray shading to block out and highlight her past experiences, like her job titles, etc. We encourage you to use a little bit of a nicer, fancier version like this. Here's the deal, though. If you download something from the internet, it could be okay, but it might not be okay. And the reason why I say this is because there's those applicant tracking system, scanning systems that are going to scan your resume when you apply online. And some of the templates online are not formatted in a way that will get past the scanners. So you've got to be careful about that. There's a reason why we have templates that we give to our clients because they look good, but they get past the scanning systems. We give you several options, and there's also cover letters, samples in there too. And the QR code here is if you wanted to purchase the templates, you can. So regardless of what you do, just make sure that if you are using something, that it also can get past the scanning systems too. And you've just got to be really cautious about that. Because on the next slide, the things that you want to be careful about with your resume specifically is you don't want to have too many font styles. You want to make sure that it's consistent layout throughout. Make sure that you've got the right amount of margin and enough white space so that it's readable and it doesn't look like you open it and oh my gosh, it's too much to read and overwhelming. And you don't want to be using underlining or tables or columns because that can be problematic for the scanning systems. Okay. So this is why, like we said, we've got ones that our resume writer has created and laid out for people so that they look nice and professional and contemporary, but it doesn't have any of these formatting issues in the background that could mess things up. Okay. When you are emailing someone your resume or uploading it to a job board or application, make sure that you transfer it into a PDF. Okay. And the other thing that you want to be careful about, because we were working with a client actually the other day, and he loves using bold. And we were like, okay, we need to like scale back on the bold just a little bit. You don't want it to almost look like I don't know where to look because there's so many bold items. So just be careful about overusing bold, italics, or capitalization. Okay. And in terms of the formatting, in some cases, if you have testimonials or, testimonials from LinkedIn at the bottom of your LinkedIn profile, you can use those in different places. You can pull an excerpt of those, put them in your cover letter. You can put them in your resume. If you're ever going to do that, you want to make sure that you're only using ones that would reference strengths that make sense for that specific job. And as part of the branding, it's a good idea to have some kind of branded banner at the top that brands you. We showed you a moment ago. Let me just go back to this for just a second because there's different ways to do this. This person's header is branded because he's got his name and contact information. Sorry, it's a woman. And then also, though, underneath, like this is part of this person's banner as well. So this is branding them effectively. And that's what I was talking about with the branding. Okay. So, curious for the people who are on the phone with us today, do you have a branded banner on your resume? Just give us a yes or no. Love to hear about that. And as you're looking at this, you'll notice there's contact info, there is your LinkedIn profile. You do not have to have a banner that looks exactly like this with these graphics. It can be more simple, like we showed you before. But the key point here is that they've got their name, any degrees that you have that would be relevant, and also a really nice tagline here that can help you stand apart from other people. And this tells me exactly who Tiffany is. Like she's a coach, she, is a problem solver, et cetera. She's a leader. Now, the only thing I would say here, okay, and thanks for sharing that you don't. It's good that you're here today, and I'm glad that we're talking about it is I would add to Tiffany's that underneath here, she needs to have the job title of the job that she's going for. So let's say if she's a career coach like me, underneath here, she would have career coach and then her summary because you need to make sure they know the type of job that you're applying to. Okay. And we'll get a little bit deeper into this in just a second here in the slides, and then in a few minutes here, we'll get to Q&A too. I did want to mention that if anyone feels like they need more help with this, we always offer to our alumni a discount on our services. So if you do schedule a consult with me, you can use this QR code here. And I'll put a link in the chat too. I'd be happy to talk with you to see if we're the right fit for you. Mention that you came from Tulane so I can give you that discount code. And we're also doing a quick promo with StrengthsFinder for the rest of this month of January. You get that complimentary as well. So be sure to mention it so that we remember to give you all of that. We've talked about this next one a little bit already. This tagline, what you're known for, your soft skills, all of that good stuff. So let me show you another example of how to brand yourself effectively, but also how to lay out your expertise in a transferable skills way. So one of the ways that you can create a summary is you can bullet it out based on transferable skills. We also recommend that you do this in your experience section too. For some clients who are not making a shift, we don't have them do this because they don't need to. It's all obvious right there, easy to read, in the summary. But when you're looking to make a shift, we highly recommend that you bullet out your summary with these transferable skills bolded, and you also can do the same thing in your experience sections. And this, what we call it, is like a hybrid version of your resume where your experience is listed in chronological order still, which people tend to prefer, but you've hybrid or functionalized, so to speak, your resume as if it was a functional resume, but just inside of each of these sections. That's the deal with this, okay? And the other thing we want to recommend, we've talked on the left-hand side here already a lot about highlighting those relevant skills, et cetera, being as quantifiable as you possibly can and results oriented with your bullet points. The other thing that we would suggest, and for our last poll here today, if you could just give us a yes or no in the chat, that would be great. We recommend that you have one master copy of your resume that has everything in it that could be relevant for the jobs you're going for. So it's not going to look good because it might have like slash this and a note to yourself of like, remember to move this. But it's the best way to be organized with your search. You use that to create every single resume and you never send that one out. You only use it to create each one. But oh, I promise you, it's going to make your job search so much easier. So curious if you all have this, if you don't mind sharing in the chat box, yes or no. I've found that more people are catching on to this, which is good. And please know, as you all are taking a moment to answer, we do not expect you to be spending an hour each time applying to a job and tailoring your resume. Using this idea of a master version, it should be about 15 to 20 minutes. It should be that easy. Okay. Now, we've talked about relevant strengths and experience already. Sorry, I have two screens. You probably figured that out. These are some of the things that you may want to put in here as part of transferable skills. Okay. One of the things on the bottom left is you want to be careful when you're looking for something new and different. Get rid of any industry or company specific lingo that you may be using because then they're going to think of you as that, not the new direction you want to head. So make sure that you genericize things a little bit and remove anything that would be really, really specific to Cisco or Salesforce or wherever you might be working. We already talked about this already, so I'm not going to spend time on it. What we suggested, remember, is a hybrid combination resume that is laid out chronologically but has the functional type of layout in your certain sections. And we've given you an example already. Here's a couple more of how you could, leverage those bullet points and kind of categorizing, if you will, your bullet points in your experience. Couple more things, and then we'll give you a couple of extra tips on the next slide and then go to Q&A. Remember, when you're working on your employment history, and this is within LinkedIn and on your resume too, make sure that your verbs are really, really active for all of your bullet points. Make sure that you're selecting the accomplishments that make the most sense for that job. This, again, is not everything but or plus the kitchen sink. I always get that saying wrong. Whatever it is, you only want to put the things in there that are going to be relevant, okay? And wherever you can include measurable results and numbers, include those. If you don't have them, that's okay. You can still make your bullet points very results oriented, but include numbers where you can. Your cover letter should always have the same formatting. And what we mean by that is if you create a branded banner at the top for your resume, do the same thing, use that same branded banner for your cover letter. And then finally, as our final slide before we get to Q&A, the reason why we're talking about all of this today is not only because it's important to present yourself effectively on paper, but also because 9 times out of 10, it's how it comes across in your confidence when you're getting your foot in the door, when you're networking with people and all of that. So you can have a fantastic resume, but if you don't feel confident and good about your search, it's going to be problematic. And our clients will tell us, if you look at this last slide, that they are usually their biggest obstacle to success. It's not something else out there. So make sure that you develop affirmations for your transition. You watch your body language when you're in an interview, that you're coming across as confident, and do things to take care of yourself and boost your confidence every single day so that you're coming across in the right way. And not only have you upgraded all of your materials, etc., but the things that you're saying are incredibly effective as well. This verbal part of it and your elevator speech is really important too. All right, so before we go today, I'd love to answer if you have any questions. Please feel free to put those in the chat box. Also, feel free to put any resources that you've used in there. And I know Nicole's going to just close things out for us in a few minutes, and any announcements, if you have any, that's great too. But remember at the beginning, we talked about one action step. If you'd be willing to share your action step in the chat box, that'd be great. Getting the slides is the link here, QR code there, scheduling a consult is there. But think of one thing that you will do in the next week that's short and sweet and simple, easy enough to tackle. Because here's what we find. It's that saying that I think is kind of weird, like how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? We need to fix that one and come up with something better because that sounds gross. But we get the gist is baby steps. And what we find is once you get the ball rolling, it's like a snowball effect in a good way. Things will progress for you. You'll get more confident. Things will get easier over time. It's always like taking that first step that people avoid or it's harder to do or whatever it is. So please write one thing down that you will commit to in the next week. That would be great. And Nicole, is there anything you'd like to say before we go? And in case there's any questions before we go too? Oh, Nicole, mute. You
Thank
had
you.
to remind me of that earlier too. It happens all the time.
Still, after all this time, we're still doing that. Um, and we do have good some questions in there or comments, but I just want to thank you so much for this information. It's really valuable. It's actually one of the top requests or top meetings we have with people is about being in career transitions because it is hard.
Yeah.
And I just want to also reiterate your last point about kind of your being confident and keeping positive a positive feeling and a positive mindset because I think that it's one thing people think they can hide, but that they can't. So I just I really particularly appreciate that because I think that's something it's hard. It's hard to stay motivated and feeling confident if you're not getting the results you wanted. So thank you so much for including that.
Yeah. No, and you're right. You can't hide it. And thanks for saying that because I think that's something that we'll add too as we talk with people is to your point, you think you can kind of fake it till you make it. And it comes out, it bleeds out somehow. So yeah, makes
It
perfect
does,
sense.
especially for you know, experienced recruiters. They can tell a lot about what you say, what you don't say, and how you say it. So that's a
Yeah.
critical point. And I just want to let everyone know that we do have a YouTube channel, and I'm going to put that link here in the chat so that if you wanted to check out any of our other professional development webinars that have been recorded, you can do so online. They're there for you, and you can always find the schedule for future professional development webinars and industry networking events on our website at alumni.tulane.edu/careers. You should be able to find them on the event calendar as well. So whether you're looking past or future, we do have a lot of resources for you. And I don't want to stop. You have some questions, or I think there's one question there as a comment.
Yes. So thank you, Sierra, for reference. Like, and I appreciate I'm casual about things. So she's like puke on paper. Yeah, okay, cool. I get it. So I'm glad you have a master resume. And I think that, yeah, revise it and remember that like you can put notes to yourself in there. Like these are the areas where I need to shift or change the keywords. And then, yeah, making sure I do think it's better to put everything on there and then you can always pare it back. But like people, we always forget things that we've done, which makes perfect sense. Because it happens to me too. And having it on there is what's going to remind you, like, even if you had forgotten about it, or maybe you didn't think that one point or project was as relevant, it could be really relevant when you think of it again. So I think that that's perfect. That's awesome. All right.
Unless anyone.
I don't have any questions. This was very helpful. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you for saying that verbally too. The coach needs kudos too. I appreciate it. I
Yeah,
just want to know,
absolutely.
yeah.
That
So
was
good. Well, and you can listen, later and also the YouTube channel. I think that's awesome, as
Yeah.
well. I'm copying that on my end too, because I want to take a look at it, Nicole, and then we'll make sure one way or the other, everyone gets a copy of the recording as well.
you well. Well, thanks again so much. If you don't have any other questions, we'll just go ahead and wrap that up and wish everyone the best and stay warm out there.
Oh, I know, be safe. I don't know how it is exactly in New Orleans, but I got stuck yesterday for a little bit in the ice in Atlanta because we don't have the tools. So
Right.
they're basically telling everyone, do not drive, like just stay home.
Sierra, where are you in the world?
Yeah, I actually am in New Orleans.
Okay.
I'm originally from New York. I was in New Orleans, left, went to DC, came back, and so it is funny seeing this happen here as
Yeah.
somebody who's lived in snowy, wintry places. But it's the same thing. They are like, just please stay home. Just stay home.
Stay home.
Don't create issues. Yeah, we're not ready for this. We don't know how to deal with this.
That's funny.
Right. I know. And it is funny. I lived in Chicago for a long time too. And when I first came to Atlanta and this happened, I was like, you people are crazy,
Yeah.
but we don't have the tools. And so
No.
actually the roads are ice right now. And so we
Yes.
can't. Like it's
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway.
All we can do. And stay safe, stay warm and stay safe.
Yeah. Stay
Yeah.
warm, stay safe. Thank you so much. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.